I've got a boulder.
Okay, so I started jotting down some of the things that we needed to go over today, and unfortunately, everything that I've written over here is probably 8 to 10 hours of coursework. So I hope y'all don't have anything else on your schedules today. We're only going to go. We're going to give you an overview of some of it, and then I'm going to go into detail on a few really key things right now. We'll come back next week. We'll be having weekly trainings available to you guys, just like I've been doing with the newer agents, but we're going to hone in on listings right now and go really deep on them. I might leverage things like Jeff Glover or Ben Kinney for certain things that they do. As I was telling Nolan the other day, I do have my own approach, but I would recommend that you kind of take what I'm teaching you and the keys that are there, and then take in the data from other top performers, not just anybody, but top performers, and kind of make it your own. Find the scripts that fit with you the best and that kind of thing, and we'll build our systems from there. Or build your own kind of unique systems within our systems. So I've broken this down into a couple of different categories. So your lead gen and follow-up, that's some of the questions that you guys have been having about, okay, the leads come in, whether it be a referral from a teammate, a lead that's just a home value or an address and nothing else was attached to it, or an address and something was attached to it, and then what to use and how to use it, the tools, what to say, how often to say it. We've got our auto plans. That would be an entire class by itself. Hopefully Ben's video, I got about halfway through it, to be honest with everybody. I got about halfway through it, and it's got some tremendous value in this piece of it. Just like Nolan said, to answer the question you both were having, when they don't have an address, we need to come up with a plan for how we're going to handle those. I called Brittany this morning, and Brittany Marketer is supposed to be having a tool launching this year, I don't know when, that those can auto feed and automatically get on a postcard campaign if I set them up on it. That would be dreamy. Right now, we are left with their name popped in and nothing's happening. Okay.
Mine's just an address. It's not
I'm sorry, that's what I meant, the address. Yeah. That's what I meant. So today, what I do want to go over in detail is a few pieces of these. I know there's a whole lot more here, but we've got the pre-listing phase, how I prep for appointments, how I review comps, our pre-listing package. We are definitely going over that today. Mindset. We're going to go over the pre-qualification script, and then I'll kind of introduce you guys to the videos that I've made, and I've got a note here, they need updating, and we need to add it as a template in Brittany so that you're not having to go hunt for it every time. We're going to go a little bit over the listing appointment, but we're going to go, I will do an entire meeting just on that. So I'll give you a brief overview and give you some tools today. And then I see it also as there's a post-listing period so that you guys understand what the expectations are. I actually really want to cover this today as well, because some of you are already taking listings and you may either not know or may be guessing as to what's happening behind the scenes. So I wanted to go over that with you as well. And so let's start with, I'm gonna be looking for resources here so that we've got the Brittany stuff that we're learning from Brittany, and we're in the loop on exactly what is the most effective and what other people are doing. So I'm gonna leave this for now. All I would say is you follow up with leads as soon as possible. Speed to leads still matters even with listing leads. It's no different than with buyers. The faster you answer the phone, the faster you get the appointment set, the faster you do these things, and the eagerness you show matters. It absolutely matters. Somebody can go on an appointment with somebody who's a little more like low-key and quiet. They've been doing this a long time. And then they sit there and they talk to you and they hear the excitement and the jazz. You're jazzed up and you're really excited about what you guys offer. They're going to hear that and they're going to go, they just seem really excited about selling my house. And they seem like they're really hard workers. They've got that je ne sais quoi. They've got that bulldog feature. So make sure that you're bringing that passion, and the speed to lead will also help with that. Somebody just lost a contracting job from me and AJ. AJ's not aware of this, but this other guy lost the job because it took him over a week and a half to give me a price. He got out to the house fast, but he hasn't given me a price. I finally just went to Facebook and said, I need somebody for this job. Who do you guys know? They said, well, I could price it via photos if you have enough photos of the property and approximate measurements. They took photos, sent them over to them. They gave me a price and we booked it.
What's that for?
Cabinets, painting. We already booked it a few days ago, and the guy finally called back and said, hey, I can give you the pricing now. Dude, I've been asking you for the pricing every day for a week and a half. Where are you? Where are you?
Especially with the market where it is, people know it's moving fast. So if you take a week to call a lead back, they're probably.
It's not a good thing. Not a good thing to wait that long. All right. So this actually needs to be up here. Sorry, I did it in reverse order. Let's talk about.
But real quick, those like leads coming in through Brevity and stuff, are they seller leads are all going to be home valuation from Northeast Georgia Home Values, or could they be from other sources?
They can be from other sources. It should have a spot where it says their intent, but you do not want to assume anybody's intent. If it says seller, that means they probably requested a home value somewhere on the website on one of our landing pages. However, how many buyers have you guys spoken to that have something to sell?
Right.
So be calling everybody and making sure that you're asking, by the way, while I have you on the phone, do you have any real estate you need to sell? Because I forgot to bring it up. Right? You or your family. I've done it before where somebody reached out to me for a short sale because that was what I was doing back when I was listing a long time ago. But I thought I just had a short sale deal. And because I built the relationship and asked the questions, I ended up selling multiple family members' property. And then those family members bought the house and it wasn't even a short sale. So I ended up getting like 5 deals out of one client just because I was willing to ask, hey, by the way, I really enjoyed working with you. Do you know anybody else or do you have any other real estate that you're needing to sell? That's your low-hanging fruit, the people that you're already working with, for sure, and the buyers. So I want to jump forward. We're going to go over more lead gen and conversion over time, and we're going to work with Brevity to understand how to best use their systems. But I want to talk to you guys about the moment somebody says, I want to sell my house and I'm curious, what do you think it's worth, AJ? You know, that's kind of how it starts. Or, hey, could I talk to somebody about selling my house? I'm not really sure what that entails, et cetera, et cetera. This is the script you want to pull out. This is in Google Drive. That means it's accessible from your phone. You should have this saved somewhere. You can pull it up at any time and say, hey, Nolan, give me just a second while I pull up a pen and a piece of paper. By the way, how'd you hear about me? Or whatever. Or ask him some other question while you're pulling this up and something to write down on. You don't always have to have a printed version of it, but you do want to have it accessible. So AJ and I experienced the pains of what it's like to not ask these questions more than once. So this session is for AJ, but it's really for everybody. So I'm going to read through it. I don't expect you guys to respond or anything, but I might ask you questions after I ask some of these. And if you didn't notice, these came from Bold. I built most of my systems from the original Bold that I was in. Not after they cut Diana out of it and changed all the scripts and made it too fluffy. I mean, these are good scripts. And so this is 2013. So this was before Diana got cut out of everything. I know.
This is a lot of the Glover guy stuff too. You probably got a lot from this.
I think a pre-listing questionnaire is incredibly important, regardless of where you get the scripts from. Because there's lots of real estate coaches out there that have built their own. These just happen to be.
So this is like the LP mama of the seller.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So if you're not calling to confirm, let's assume that it's your buddy that just picked up the phone, or you prospected, you've gotten somebody on the phone and they say, yes, I'd be willing to consider selling. And you say, great, could I come out and see the property on such and such day? Hey, before I come out, can I ask you a few questions so I'm fully prepared? Get the appointment first, guys. Get it first before you bombard them with a bunch of questions. Get the appointment, get it booked, get it penciled in, confirmed, and then it can all be in the same conversation. If you forget, can't tell you how many times I've forgotten. I'm so excited. I just got a day appointment. Call them back. Either call them back the same day, call them back the next morning, or shoot them a text message and say the next morning and say, hey, I'm prepping for our appointment on Thursday, and there's a couple of questions I have for you. It'd probably be easier to pick up the phone because I have quite a few. When's a good time for you? You could go through these questions. Don't complicate it, is what I'm saying. Just ask the questions. I would encourage you as well to read these questions verbatim for quite a while before you start trying to alter them. And there's a reason why. And I'll kind of uncover some of these for you to understand where the NLP in this is, because it is imperative that you understand the way it's worded and the order in which they're in does matter. All right, so just like it, I'm going to skip that first line because I'm not confirming. Let's say I've just set an appointment with them, I'm on the phone, and either I forgot, now I'm calling now, or I'm on the phone with them still. So before I come out to your house, there's just a couple questions I need to ask you so I'm fully prepared and I can save you and I time. Do you have 10 minutes right now? You hear the downswing in that? We've talked about upswings and downswings. I'm always going to be putting downswings on my questions unless I want to create doubt. Does everybody know what that means?
Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
Okay.
If your voice
I'm
goes
always
up,
like,
that's
yeah.
like you're questioning yourself.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I'm
do you
always
have
like,
10 minutes?
right now?
Do you have 10 minutes right now?
That's how I always say. I don't know how
Yes.
to do it.
You do.
Yeah.
And that's where people start picking up on your doubt, and that's where they start ejecting themselves from the conversation. So you've got to work on going, do you have 10 minutes right now? It's almost like a statement. You know you're asking a question, but you have to practice. And I used to do this with my hand, with every word, because it was so against my nature to ask questions, especially if you're uncomfortable with those questions. Like, how much do you owe on your property? Some people have really hard time with that, right? So how much do you owe? Or, so what do you owe? You hear the difference?
Right.
There's confidence versus doubt. All right. So if what I say makes sense and you feel comfortable and confident that I can sell your house, are you planning to list it with me when I come out on Thursday? What's the worst they could say?
No.
That's the worst they could say. And what they're probably going to say is no with an explanation. They're probably not going to just say no. Next question. They're going to say, no, I don't know if we're ready yet. We're in the compiling data stage of things. I just don't know if we're really ready yet. Gotcha. Completely understand. You just discovered number one biggest objection, right? Is they're not probably going to be ready. You also now know what you're walking into. Do you carry listing paperwork? I probably still would, but I wouldn't be like overtly trying to get the listing agreement unless we overcame all those objections and their house was magically like ready that night and we had a plan. I might ask for that agreement. But at least you know. And if they say, well, yeah, if everything looks right, the numbers look right, and you think the house is ready, yeah, let's do it.
Is there ever a time where they say, like, we're 6 months out and it's something that can't even be changed? Do you just say, how about we just talk closer to that time?
No, I want you in the house now. I want you building rapport now. I will say, I want you building rapport, and I even want you to go ahead and get the listing agreement signed. And it's because of exactly what just happened with Mike. His realtor and other realtors have been in that house, given him advice. They assumed they were getting the listing, and now you and I have gone in there many months later.
Right.
You want to try to get, we'll go through scripts as time goes on too, so you know what objections to cover. All right. So question number one, do you plan on interviewing more than one agent for the job to sell your house? No, AJ, you're my best bud. I don't want to interview anybody else. Or, yeah, there's, somebody from church that my wife wants us to interview, or whatever, blah, blah. Okay, cool. So who am I up against? Did you hear the upswing or downswing? Who am I up against? Who am I up against? Because I don't want them to doubt it. I want them to answer the question. Oh, cool. So who am I up against? Tell me. I just want to know who I'm competing against. And then they tell you and you go, oh, cool, I know them. Yeah, they're awesome. Yeah, cool. They're just a little bit of a moron. It's fine. They don't let us spell, but
I just got out of prison.
Remember, you never lift yourself by pushing other people down, so you always want to say, yeah, I know them. They're really awesome.
Agent. Yeah, I just saw them at the jailhouse.
If they say they are interviewing other agents, question 1B is, so curious, will you be interviewing all the agents before you make your final decision? And sometimes I ask, will you be interviewing all of them before you make a decision, or will you be hiring the first one that meets your needs and criteria? Because they might be one of those that, like, well, if we come across like one that makes everything, it just clicks and jives, we might just go ahead and sign. That helps you, because if you just ask question number 1 and they say, yes, we're interviewing multiple agents, you might assume that you need to go last.
It's really good.
You really need to go first.
That's what I was about to ask you.
Or if you're going to go last, you need to get them to promise you over the phone that they're not going to hire anyone until you've had a chance to interview. Can you promise me that? I just want to have a fair chance. That's all. I've got this killer marketing program and I would love to show it to you, but it's always been my best luck if I go last.
I still wouldn't trust that answer. Like they said,
Can't trust the answer, but if you're going to do it that way, you better ask them.
Yeah.
All right, so if you're still on the original call and they legitimately just told you that they're moving to Sarasota, don't ask this question again. If you're calling back like the day before the appointment and it's been a few days, you may ask this. Or if you've forgotten or they weren't clear before. So tell me again, you're moving to Sarasota, is that right? How soon do you have to be there? And you don't just keep talking, you wait until they answer, of course. Some of this is self-explanatory, but I just like to make sure you know. So I would actually mark out 30 days, guys. And I would say, so if I sell your house in the next 10 days, would that pose a problem for you? What are you going to discover here? Be thinking about that. You don't have to answer it out loud, but think about what you're discovering when you ask these questions. And it's stuff that you otherwise, they may have offered it or they may not. So what would happen if your house did not sell? A lot of people right now are going to say, I'll stay put. I have a great deal. Fine. We like living here. We just saw that we could net more and move on to the next big dream and blah, blah, blah. So we thought maybe now would be a good time. But if it doesn't sell for what I want, then I guess we'll stay here. Then you ask at 4A, you say, okay, so for how long? How long would you want to stay here? Why does that matter?
They probably eventually want to move. So,
And why would that matter?
because they, once they think about that, they might say, well, what's the point of waiting any longer? Because if we're going to do it now, if I tell you, well, a year or two from now, we're just going to have to eventually upgrade, then you can play that as saying, well, why wait,
Why wait?
and the market, the prices will be different.
Yes. You might have a correction.
One of the ways that I really love to do listing presentations, and I'm not trying to sell them on any meeting, guys. This is the pre-qualification. Do not do your listing presentation over the phone. Don't do it. Just ask the questions. Log the information, then prep for your appointment with their answers. Hannah, can you be quiet, please?
No, the answer is no.
She'll try. So how long, instead of saying why wait, even though that's a good script, I like to create a little bit of doubt for people. I like to put it in front of them what they're actually, I think sometimes they're at home and they're discussing things and they're like, here's my ideal scenario. I want to also paint the picture of the worst case scenario, not in like you're gonna die kind of way, like really morbid and making it really bad. But what I might say is, okay, so your kid is graduating in like 3 years, so you're gonna have to move, or you're gonna want to move by then, right? Okay. Have you seen how much real estate prices have changed over the past 3 years? And this time they've gone up. What would happen if you had to wait 3 years and they went the other direction by the same degree? Would you still be in this position and would you still be able to move? That's going to be in my listing presentation, not here. Okay. So finding that information out and having those notes is going to tell you exactly how to prepare and what objections that are coming up that you need to go over. All right, so this would have helped us the other day. So when I see you, how much do you want to list your house for realistically? Wait for an answer. I can't tell you how many times, it's always high C's. By the way, if they pull this on you, it's a high C. Well, I really wanted to check and see what you thought. Okay, so as a professional real estate agent, I study houses and prices every day. So therefore, I assume you'll list with me at the price that would cause it to sell, right? And they might say, well, I'm not gonna give it away. That's the stuff you're gonna get in these calls. And you go, I'm not asking you to, I just wanted to make sure that you're gonna price it to sell. Moving on. You don't argue with them, you don't, nothing. Just keep going. Do not handle the objections that you're getting here. Do not handle them. Just go, okay, got it. Next question. Keep going. Because it's going to buy you time to call me, text me, and say, this is what they said. Here's like the 5 things. I don't know what the heck to say to this person, and I'll arm you with a few different scripts to prepare yourself with. Okay? All right, so what's the price you absolutely won't go below? Okay? And how much do you owe on the property? If you get somebody who resists these questions, what I would recommend you saying is, listen, I understand if you don't want to tell me. I'm not going to push you for it. However, if we're going to go into this and work together as a team, at some point you got to trust me. If you don't trust me at all to even tell me the financials, then you probably shouldn't hire me. And that's the truth.
Could you add that on here?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, 7, 8.
Can you write that and then remind me later?
Say it again.
And I'll set it in my phone and remind you, right?
If you don't trust me enough, now I understand, but at some point, you have to trust me enough to share the financials if we're going to partner in this. I don't know, I rearranged it, but I'll figure out the best way that I want to type that up.
Mike did that. You know, he was very reluctant.
I already complained to Nolan about you interrupting the silence. I had asked him like 3 different times and I had him right on the verge of telling me, like he was squirming in his seat, like it was about to like come out of his mouth. And AJ goes, so, like, start some other thing. No, it was that one right there.
I'm working on that too, because like he called the other day and he still had, you know, he's definitely a high C. We've had like multiple conversations since, like drawing out issues, and like last time there's a good 45 seconds of silence, and I was just holding myself back.
Put yourself on mute if they're on the phone.
Yeah.
That is the hardest part, is not filling the silence. Like,
Yeah.
it really is. Right? So how much do you owe the property? Make sure you're using downswings. Those questions can sometimes make you guys feel uncomfortable. I would practice them, so that it's just natural. This would be, and if they, another way that you can say this, if they get stuck there, is say, listen, if you went to the doctor, would you not let them take your temperature and your weight and your blood pressure when you walked in?
Yeah.
These are the vitals for what it's going to take to sell your home. And this is private, confidential information. I'm not telling anybody, not a soul. But ultimately it's about trust. And the guy still, he's just really afraid that we're gonna like go blast it to somebody that what his minimum dollar is. We're not. And you don't, you know? So anyway, here's your first upswing in the whole thing. So have you ever thought about selling it yourself? Hear the upswing?
Why is that one an upswing?
I want to create doubt. That's so silly. Why would you want to sell it yourself? That kind of tonality in it, right? This is a key question that you guys forget because you haven't had to do it. Will you help finance the house for the buyer, or do you need your cash out? Don't forget to ask those questions, especially if you go talk to these people who have owned for a long time and they don't owe anything. Well, heck, if I could get blank % on my money, and they were paying me the higher price, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's way better. So arm yourself with that. What, AJ?
I was just gonna say, especially if they don't need the money, older, wealthier, you know, like understand financials, they would rather just be the bank and, you know, collect that interest because they're not going to make a whole lot more when it's done. you know?
Yeah. And it won't come in a lump sum either. So if they're older, just something to know, if it's not coming in a lump sum, $500,000 or something, and it's coming in payments every year, it reduces their taxable income as well.
You know how it works, like if you owe $150 on a property, you can get the payoff and then owner finance the rest. How does that
You
work?
can, but the only way that you can owner finance is if that first mortgage and any other liens are paid off, because there will be a closing and they have to satisfy all liens. So your down payment or whatever you're putting down and paying for part of it in cash needs to cover any and all liens to clear it up. So, and then when you transfer, the new primary lien is that seller being a mortgage lender. Okay. All right, so if you already know the answer to this, jump in. So are you going to purchase another home? Will you guys be buying another home? Will you be purchasing another home? And do you need help with that? Have you found a realtor in such and such city? Because I have a list, a really big, robust list, and I can help you find the best agent.
Would this also be where you would say, if it's like around here, well, we can talk about that
Yeah,
as well.
cool. Where is it going to be? Where are you moving to? Okay, awesome. Did you know I cover there? Cool, because I really want your business, right? And just like smile and have a good time with it, right? And then number 11. This is the only one I prep for. So if you want to write whatever you want in there, I say, listen, I'm your partner in this, and I'm about to ask you a question that might offend you. I hope it doesn't offend you. I have to know, though, in order to help you to the best of my ability. Are you current on your mortgage payments?
You preface the question?
Always.
So you pay your bill?
That was an upswing.
So I always preface that one when I see it coming. I let them know that it might feel like an offensive question, but I have to ask everybody. It comes out a little bit different every time when I preface it. It's just how I'm feeling that day. But I just want to make sure they know this isn't about them. This is about me helping them. And sometimes people's answer does guide how I need to help you going forward. That's it. Because most people are going to say, yeah, okay, cool. I just have to ask, because if you're not, there's other things that we can do to help out, and I just want to make sure if we need to go down that path.
Because some people aren't going to want to tell you that up front. Like, and then you find out later.
You might, yeah. But if you asked, at least you asked.
And the reason for us knowing that is to give them, so they have an accurate net of what they're walking away with.
A, their net. B, if they are behind on their mortgage payments, we need to know how far behind. It might also open up the conversation of, have you filed for bankruptcy on anything? By the way, bankruptcy would be a giant red flag for you guys. It could slow down your entire closing. If that house got wrapped up in the bankruptcy, which it almost always does, it would need to be removed, and we almost never find out about it until the week before closing, when the attorney finally pulls title. So,
It's on the listing agreement stuff too, isn't it? Because
It
you have
is.
to fill out the third
However-
party that has to.
However, sellers who filed for bankruptcy often think they only wrapped up their credit cards and their other stuff. They don't think the house was included. And then the administrative staff at the attorney's office, who does bankruptcies all the time, goes, let's wrap it all up. It's much neater that way. Okay? So if they say, well, we're not, but this, that, and the other, okay, cool. It's just an opportunity to dig a little bit more. If they're really late, like say the Kaylee's deal where her family is like not paid at all, well, then there's a little bit more digging that we need to do. A, are they in foreclosure yet? Because that changes the timeline lickety split. Is there a payoff that we can get from the attorney, or is there a lump sum that can be paid to pull it out of foreclosure and buy us a little bit more time? There's just a lot of more moving parts that if they tell you, that we can actually help them and move them through the process. So, all right.
And that may be an answer, and they say, yeah, we're like 6 months behind. Okay. And then we call you after, so like, what the hell?
Yes. Well, and it's really like, okay, so in your ideal, if you're 6 months behind, have you gotten any notices from an attorney at all about the balance? Do you know if you're in foreclosure or if they're just sending you still the bills from the bank? Have you called the bank? You know, most of the time they haven't. And it's just about gathering data and asking all the questions without any judgment. And that's important, because if they just confided that in you, it's important to say, hey, I'm still here to help you. I might ask you a couple more questions. So let's dig in on that a little bit. So how far behind are you? Who's your mortgage lender? Is there more than one mortgage lender? You know, we've got solutions that we can help with. I just need to gather some information. Okay. Will you quickly describe your house for me? What do you guys learn about them, not their house, when they quickly describe their house for you?
How in love with it and how much they think they'll be able to get for it. If they say it's a 3-2, like 2,200 square foot, and that's different than them saying, well, we added on this and this and this and this and this and this.
Absolutely.
That, and to kind of figure out if they're high I or they're CNS or D. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath.
It's like 4 bedrooms, 3.5 bath, 2,500 square feet. It's got 2 acres with it.
It's all right.
We fenced the yard. What else do you want to know?
Yeah.
That would be my description of my house.
Hardwoods.
I wouldn't even go into that detail. I'd be like, it's got like nice floor and tile and stuff. But I mean, like, how much do you want to know? I would already feel like I was wasting my own time by spitting all that out. So that would be like a super high D. A high I is probably going to be like, do you know such and such builder? Yeah, such and such built this, and so owned the land beforehand, and we got that from them, and we got it back in 2009, and they're telling you the stories about who this and who that, and who they have over, and who they live with in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
That's your high I. They're not going to want to leave because of their relationships. A high S doesn't want to move at all. They're generally the other person in the marriage that didn't want to answer the phone, didn't want to call you, and is being forced into the appointment with you. Because there's a high D or a high I forcing this move. So they're the ones that are kind of hard to read at all. Or they're really upset, but they're excited about maybe a job opportunity, and they have to sell even though they're really sad about it. They kind of have to or need to sell. Your high C might, if they're tremendously a high C, they may even say, I've got a whole binder of information here that I can go over with you when you get here. I've seen that.
I feel like I'm not really seeing this with you describing these.
I'm talking about extremes.
Yeah.
I'm like, but the non-extremes might be, well, I could describe it to you, but it'd be really easier to show it to you.
That's
And
me.
and then you get me there, and then you're like, and then this, and what you can't see behind the wall is, they might also, high C's will also resist signing at the listing appointment. I still expect you to push for it and tell them, you know, I'm not doing my job if I don't ask one more time, because you would want me to ask if it was a buyer putting an offer on your house. When you're going to still use scripts and you're still going to close. Almost every high C, I walk out of there going, give them space and time to think tonight and call them back in the morning. If you do it right and you give them that space and don't push them, like push them without making them sign. And then they will usually sign when they're ready. So their biggest fear is making a mistake and jumping the gun. That's what their biggest fears are. So anyway, so will you quickly describe your house for me? Tells me more about them than it does the house. I'm glad they're telling me, because it's going to help me when I pull up comps. If I know that they already replaced all the countertops and all the floors and the this, that, and the other, I can't see that in the tax records. So it does tell me about the house, but more than anything, it tells me who they are. And I'm going to write, that's usually the one where I write D, I, S, or C next to it, because they're usually telling me who they are in that one. How would you rate your house on a scale from 1 to 10? And what would make it a 10? This will tell you the repairs that they have neglected. It will tell you why they're selling, why they don't want to live there anymore. Or it will tell you that they're like really in love with their house and good luck. Like, you're going to really have to motivate them with their why, because they really love where they live. They're going to tell you all that. Awesome. Is there anything positive or negative about your house? And I usually say that I should know about that could affect the price. And then I say, I'll be sending over a package of information. I like to send it via email. If you're going in person and it's like, say you set the appointment today and you're going tomorrow morning, just bring the packet with you.
And what is the packet?
I'm about to show you in a minute. If you're going in a couple of days, drop it off beforehand. I don't know if you guys know this. You can go to the post office and get those, the envelopes that are the priority shipping, and they'll give you an entire stack of them for free. And you don't actually have to mail it. You could just like seal it, put their name and address on it, and sit it at the front door. It's cheating the system, but it looks professional. And you drop it off. And you could even text them if you know them and you got their cell phone number, say, hey, I dropped off your packet for you this afternoon. It's by the door, you know.
So you said don't email
You can email.
it.
Or if they're super tech savvy, you can say, I'm going to email you this document. We've got digital versions of everything that we have. And I'd like for you to look over it before I get there. Will you do that for me? Or as this says, will you take a few minutes to review it before I come out? AJ, we talked about the scale from 1 to 10 question, number 13. Major point on that was that you find out more about who they are, their DISC profile, because of how they describe things. You remember Jesse on the phone with me the other day, and he says, well, it's my family friend. He tells me the whole dang history of the whole thing and who owned the land before and how long they've had it and how long he's known his friend.
But what is he?
A high. Through and through.
But now, like Mike, who describes every nail that holds every board and everything as a C. Okay, so an I is going to give you like
People.
background,
People names. People and names.
C is going to be a lot of details, and S is what?
They're quiet. You almost never know what they are. They usually don't want to move.
And a D will ask like, what do you need to know or something?
Yeah.
What
How much you need to know.
Right.
Well,
Okay.
So if I described our house right now, AJ, I would say it's 4-bedroom, it's 3.5 baths, just shy of 2,500 square feet. It's got like hardwood floors and tile. What else do you want to know?
No.
Because I've already gotten so descriptive for a high D, that's a lot for me. Like, what do you want to know? Can you come see it? Because
Right.
I don't know what you want to know, kind of
Okay.
thing. That's good. Like they're all bottom line, and they're not going to describe their house with like, it's got this precious little nursery that's perfect for. I'm not going to say that crap. I'm gonna be like, it's got 4 bedrooms.
Mhm.
They're awesome, you know, fine. And we talked about the package of information. This packet of information, we're going to be talking about it in just a minute. That can either be dropped off at their house prior to your appointment if you have enough time. Like if you set an appointment today and it's not until Monday that you're meeting with them, now would be a great time to print out the packet before you leave today and drop it off today, tomorrow, Saturday, whatever. You got plenty of time. But if your appointment is, you set it today and you're going tomorrow morning, just tell them you're going to email them the packet and you'll bring a printed copy with you. And that's the way I would do it there, because people do like put their hands on things, not just digital. All right, here is their chance. And here is a reminder to you, number 17. All right, so I think that's most of my questions. Do you have any questions for me before I arrive? What do you think is going to pop up?
How long you been doing this?
How much is it gonna cost me?
That one's a whole lot. What else? I get a.
What do you think it's going to sell for? What's the market like? You know,
Yeah.
stuff like that to try to.
Or what separates you from everyone? Blah blah blah. Like
Right.
there's some questions they want you to start giving a listing presentation now. But what did I tell you? Don't list it over the phone. I'm telling you, you'll screw it up. As good as I am, even I'll screw it up. Do not do that interview over the phone. Period. The only exception is if you set a listing appointment with an out-of-towner and you either do it over Zoom or over the phone because they don't know how to do Zoom and you can't quite get them there and they don't live here, you have my permission to do it that way, digitally. Anybody else, you get in front of them, period. Because there's a lot more body language than you think, and there's a lot that you will forget to cover over the phone, especially if you only handle the objections they bring up. You're gonna miss a whole
Sorry,
piece of the
you have to
pie.
answer these questions there, right?
Not in this call, nope.
So
So what that
do you
looks
have any questions before I arrive? So you just say, okay, I'll write those questions down, we'll go over them at the appointment.
so argumentative.
What?
So AJ, do you have any questions for me before I arrive?
Yeah, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, awesome. What else?
What was the answer that I just asked?
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have told you. I'll cover these in great detail when I come out on Thursday. So what other questions should I be prepared for when I come out?
Well, I could keep going.
Y'all are so perfect for each other.
I see what you're saying. I definitely see what you're saying.
I've gone on plenty of appointments with people like you. They still came. They still list with me, AJ. All right. And I would just, if somebody says, well, I really do need to know what the commission is, I say, listen, we offer anywhere from 1% all the way up to 10%, depending on the job that we're being hired for and depending on what needs to happen. So honestly, until you and I've sat down and I've had a chance to show you everything and for you to select a package of what you want and what you need, I can't give you a price. Because we do offer from 1% to 10%, don't we?
Yeah.
1% being our flat fee services, if you find yourself a buyer, all the way up to commercial, 10%. That's a big range. So if somebody really pushes me, I'll tell them, listen, I will make it right. We'll come up with a win-win, but right now I can't answer that because we have services everywhere from 1 to 10%, depending on what you need me to do. Because that's a high D usually coming in and getting impatient. Just tell me the bottom line. What are you going to charge? No, I'm going to freaking wow you and you're going to stomach it. Like you're going to take it and I'm going to do an interview. But here's the deal. You got to do it my way. If you need to know the answer quickly, then maybe we should have an appointment tonight. Right?
So for land, this maybe,
Mm-hmm.
how would you would just adjust kind of, you would take some of these out? And,
Yeah.
okay.
Like, so, or you could just say land. Describe the land for me. What do you know about it? If you've got perk tests and things like that, have you had a soil test done? Blah, blah, blah. You know, you might customize this if it's land or like for AJ's commercial and stuff like that. You don't want to dig and get as much as you can, but you might want to like scratch through some of this and make you one that's for land and commercial.
And like with the commission part, and this is probably off topic too, but you know, like the one I'm closing tomorrow, they did I think it's 10% commission, but it was under like 100,000. How would we? I guess we can talk about it when the time comes, if it comes. But
Land and commercial, I like to do at 10%, unless I'm sitting at that appointment and that's what's holding them back from signing the
Why is
papers.
that? Why?
Especially
It's
lots.
harder to sell. There's more liability, and
Look at a lot.
Harder.
Who wants to sell a $25,000 lot and get $200 or $300? It better be 10%. Because
Gotcha.
you know, you're
Yeah.
splitting out with a buyer's agent. You sell a $25,000 lot, and each of you gets $1,250. You have, I mean, you got to make it appealing, otherwise nobody will fool with it. You know,
that's another. If it's a low price, you can say that. Otherwise, the other agent won't even bring you somebody. You're going to be relying on people just looking because they're scrolling,
Commercial,
and that limits your buyer pool.
sorry, I know we just got. I was just wondering.
No,
with
they're
that
great
10%,
questions.
'cause
Commercial is huge, or commercial, you have like if you do it right, and you have CoStar and all that. I mean, CoStar is like $800 a month or something crazy. So, you know, you're not
Is
just
that what
pop-
y'all have?
No, we actually don't have it. I've been doing kind of around it. We have LoopNet Premium, which is something similar, and we have KW Commercial, but you know,
There's more
commercial-
expenses, more
yeah.
everything. Their signs are bigger and more expensive and more specific, and the liabilities are different. And
Your
it's
buyer
just
pool is so much smaller. It's going to
Yes.
take you longer to sell it.
mhm.
Typically,
I mean, and technically, if y'all think about it, our property management technically charges 20% to most people. It's 10% on the monthly, and then it's a 1-month charge. So if you add that up over a year on one lease, that's 20%. So it's, I mean, 6% gets pounded into us all the time, but this is negotiable. And quite frankly, take the listing. Like, come beg for forgiveness with me later and listen to me cringe when I heard you take a commission cut, and then just go, but Brittany, it's a listing, and we can send the postcards out, and just like build me back up later, okay?
Brenda wants to do a 4% for the buyer's agent, 3% for the list, you know, whatever, just because she wants this gone.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, look, we'll talk about that. We're not going to talk about that right now.
So that's a wonderful thing that you can present when people say, what's your commission? Well, we have a sliding scale. You know, our minimum absolutely is 3% on the listing side. Then you just have to decide what you're going to be paying to another agent that brings you a deal. How much do you want to incentivize them? Do you want to make it really hard and only pay them 1%, or do you want to make it really enticing and pay them 4%, which is above the market standard? You know, it's
That's
up
a
to
lot
you.
of land in commercial too. I think you want to incentivize a broker bringing you something. And a lot of commercial stuff gets done off market too. So you really want to incentivize somebody bringing you something if you're going to list it.
I just want to do a commercial where I get like a monthly stipend for rent, like
Leasing,
David Williams
you
was
do.
talking about. Like, yeah, $5,000 a month, I can do that.
I like that. All right, so awesome, Nolan. I've got all of your questions written down. I'll bring you all the details, and we'll go over that when I see you on Thursday, whatever. So Nolan, real quick, I've only spoken to you. Are there any other decision makers?
Yeah, my wife will be there too.
Okay, awesome. That was my next question, if she was gonna be there or not. Awesome. Should I speak to her before we meet, or was this sufficient, or what do you think?
No, she'll be there.
Okay, perfect. All right. And 18A is for millennials, or the next gen, whatever comes after those people.
Like your mom and dad.
Some of our
Basically, are you gonna count? Is your parents?
Will you be seeking counsel from anyone else before making a decision? Is your dad coming to the inspection after we?
one buyer appointment yesterday. She came in with her mom and dad. Oh, didn't expect that. They were all super cool, and I liked them. We all they got a mountain house, and so it was great. But still, I was like, oh shit.
Oh
One of my
God,
good friends
what's
as a
gonna happen?
realtor, she did a video on TikTok of, oh, so here's the house we're gonna see today. She's like, oh, were you expecting anybody else to get my parents? She's like, oh, okay. And then, oh
Oh,
my gosh,
oh.
are you expecting somebody else? She's like, oh yeah, my best friends and my cousins are coming. Oh my God, this is great. And then she's like, oh yeah, that's my grandma and grandpa. And she like just made this funny video of what happened.
Oh my God.
Like there was like 20 people coming to see the house.
Meanwhile, my dad is so high D. If you think I am, you should see him. He's so high D that I called him and I was like, Daddy, we're putting an offer on our first house. Would you like come and see it? He goes, well, what do you need me to do? Okay, cool. So great talk. You only live an hour away. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
My mom would say like, oh my God, what time I'll be there?
That'd be my mom, but I didn't call my mom.
My dad would be like, that's all right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I did finally call him for get him over there. I was like, I don't know, it's a big decision, and I feel like you should be there. And then he looked at it, he's like, looks like a nice house. The next one I was like, we're not calling him. And like ratted out, needed new carpeting, and like all this stuff. I'm like, I already know what he needs. Forget it. And we'll talk to him. All right. So last thing is, just so you know, our meeting should only take about 30 minutes. Would that be okay? Why can it be only 30 minutes?
She don't want to spend forever there and start randomly talking about stuff.
If you're AJ, yes.
So you don't want to.
Right. You've prepped. First of all, you got all this. Now you can prep with comps. You can prep with their personality style. You know their biggest objections. One of the ones that might be your hurdle, thanks to what we just talked about, was maybe the commission. We're gonna have to really establish value for commission and make sure that they understand what they're getting. You know, what their personality style is, how much you're gonna have to pump yourself up. If you're not a high I, you might need to go have a cup of coffee before you go over there and listen to like some, I don't know, Mariah Carey or something, and like get yourself jazzed up. Hanson Brothers, 90s music. Get yourself some pop music to listen to and get yourself excited.
Are they called the Hanson Brothers now?
I don't know.
They were brothers.
Mbop is the only one I know all the lyrics to. I used to tell Allison, there was a time where she came to me and she said, I'd been on blank number of appointments, let's say 10, and I only listed 3. And she's really beating herself up because she heard me say somewhere something about an 80 to 90% conversion rate. And she's going, why do I have only a 30% conversion rate?
Because she was going on appointments and she didn't know all this stuff.
They weren't really listing appointments. And I said, let's break up your calendar. Let's even make them 2 different colors. A true listing appointment is the one that says, yes, I will be ready to sign on Thursday if everything works out well and I like the price and I like you and blah, 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 blah. That's dark green. Light green is, we're not sure yet. I want you to go on those appointments, but you're going to track them separately and you're going to put those people, the lighter green ones, on some kind of different follow-up plan. Those green ones, you better go on with that freaking A game and you better get that listing appointment before anybody else does, because they're ready, they're hot, right? All of a sudden her conversion went through the roof because she's actually really good at converting when they're ready. It's about helping people get to ready and building that pipeline. So let's talk about the listing packet. Not talking about listing presentation yet. That, depending on how much time we have, that may be an entire session different from today. All right, first of all, you have Claire, who has put these together for you. If we're ever out and she's out, you need to familiarize yourself with it. I will check and see if there's like a special folder that stuff is saved in. I don't know. I just say, like, give me this stuff. Oh wait, where are the booklets? Hang on. The booklets are right here.
Yeah, it's all, you can print it out.
Okay, cool.
Can I get that?
I also have all this, most of this stuff saved on my desktop.
I just got one of these and put it in my truck, that way I just know I have one.
We have to replace all my buyers folders in my book bag with my storage folders. So just
She's used to it.
use a different color folder.
Okay.
You know that Jeff Glover, his is very similar to this, and he actually sends the comps in the pre-listing packet and a suggested price. He said it's normally like a range, but
He sends that before the appointment?
in the pre-listing packet, yeah.
All right, so, all right, you guys are weird. All right, this is the packet we're discussing. So we've had team member change, even though we just ordered $800 worth of these. So Nolan and Julia, if you like sign over rights to your first child, I will put you in the book. It does cost us money graphic designing wise to add that. I would recommend for now, because I'm not throwing these out, I'm sorry, as much as I love you guys, this is a lot of money to print these. I would recommend you take your business card and staple it right here. That's why we have that spot, is because we do have team changes, and you know, I still wanted there to be a spot where your information could be in there.
Senior associate.
We just like to put fancy words to things. All right, so this is the booklet that gets sent out. When I say we're going to drop off some information for you, it's this and some of these disclosures. I am noticing one thing missing so far. You know, teaching this makes me really analyze what we've got going and what's working. I think the only thing missing is a letter that I used to have, so I will go back in and I will revamp that. The letter, the way I actually arrange this is my little master plan here. I take the disclosures that are required by the office, I put them on the left-hand side. It's been a long time since I touched one of these, so I'm just showing you my, I take the stuff that is like specific to us, like the VIP questionnaire, the marketing features. I put that on the right side with the booklet, and then usually the letter was here on the right-hand side because that's where people's eyes gravitate to. So the letter was here, and it would say like, "Thank you so much for the decision to interview us," and blah 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 blah. Please have ready at the appointment an extra set of or 2 extra sets of keys, any of your closing statements from before, surveys, anything that you have in relationship to the home or land that we're interviewing about. Like it would give them specific instructions, and then it would say, if and when you're ready, please fill out all the forms that are in the booklet. It's not the listing agreement. It's just disclosures. So say you walk into a house and this is sitting on the coffee table with 2 sets of keys on top of it. How long should your listing appointment be?
Like 5 minutes.
Yes.
Thanks, have a great day.
AJ's like, at least an hour. So it depends on how much they like to fish or
You're gonna know
whatever.
he goes on a listing appointment and you're gonna say, he hasn't even come home yet, and it was 12 o'clock.
But did you get the listing agreement? Like, that's all I'm gonna ask. Like, I will do whatever. Did you get the listing agreement?
My big problem is I haven't done this. And
Yes.
I think that's gonna help expedite everything. 'Cause
I think you should also take it. I said it a long time ago, but it was like when you first started. I think you should take one copy, like make a copy of it, and then scratch everything out that says house and say like building or land.
Okay.
And scratch out the ones that are not necessary for those and make one your own. Because guys, when you do a pre-qualification, if they spoke to any other agent and they've interviewed other agents, guess how many of them did the pre-qualification script?
Maybe.
1 out of 10, maybe. Most of the time they're like, yeah, what time do you want me to come over? And they come over and they're like, just list it for what the neighbor listed it for. It's fine. We're good. You're coming in and you're like, great, I want to be fully prepared. I want to make sure that I save you time and that I'm giving you accurate data when I get there, blah, blah, blah. You go through all of that. Then you drop something off or email them something and then come in with this like professional stuff. And like the other person's like, so you want to like sign all this right? You are setting yourself apart with every single move that I give you.
Do we not have that letter thing anymore?
I have it, and I'm gonna go pull. I pulled these off the shelf. I think somewhere along the lines it got forgotten or needed updating and hadn't gotten updated. So I'll fix that.
Well, I'm glad you, because I'll need this, get Dana to let me come see her.
Yes.
She's having surgery. She had surgery yesterday.
Oh.
She's super late.
So that goes in the folder, or is it too?
Yeah, or you could just do this.
Alright.
If I'm carrying this with me, I might also take that listing agreement and sit it in the middle. It's a reminder to me not to hand them a blank listing agreement. I'm not leaving that with them. So if we have not signed the listing, by the time I've given all this and shown them everything, walked them through our marketing, then what I'm gonna do is go, great, I'm gonna leave you some information. Come on. I'm gonna pull this out, I'm gonna put it with my stuff, and go, great, this is for you. And hand it over. Or if you sent one or dropped it off the day before or a few days before, then you just don't put the listing agreement in it. You bring the listing agreement with you.
And you put the disclosures on what side?
Disclosures are always on the left side, but the letter and our stuff was on the right side. Just because that's where people's eyes gravitate to when they're reading, because that's how we read in the
So
US.
these are not, okay, so we just, I got you.
These are pre-made. She didn't know that was my preference. She was probably making them for Allison on Allison's preference. I'm going back to, I'm teaching you guys my method. There's a method to the madness.
Well, it looks better.
Another thing that I want you to be aware of is even if you drop one off, don't assume they have it. Keep a couple of these in your car in a nice safe spot. You never know when you're going to be in Gainesville one morning and somebody says, well, can you interview today? Because I'm here now and blah, 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 blah. And I'm going back to such and such tomorrow. Sure.
Yes.
I already have everything. All you got to do is pull up on an iPad or a phone. Even in the listing appointment, you can pull comps with them together if you want to, but at least you already have this. And you can still be just as professional.
How would you pull comps from a phone in a situation like that without going to Zillow or something, or would you?
Georgia MLS. And I would probably try not to do it on my phone. The phone is so hard. I
That's
try to
what
have
I'm
a
trying to
iPad
pull
or
up
something.
Georgia MLS on the phone. It's just really hard to
So,
navigate.
I am not afraid to look stupid. Like I really am not, because I can be confidently really dumb all the time. And so I would just go, do you have a computer or a laptop or an iPad here?
Right.
I always carry my computer with me, always.
I
And
tried to
I'm
do
gonna
well,
start
somebody borrows his when he's not around.
all the daggone
Oh,
Do you
should've
want me to
bought
buy one?
time.
Should have bought one.
Yeah, you don't need two computers.
They're like
For
$2
sure.
grand. I'm just like,
I got this for
Worth it.
1100, and it's a pro.
find me one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would agree with that. Only carry your, but I've also done, You don't carry your laptop. You figure it out. You guys carry your laptops.
Let's pull up Zillow and say, hey, this is what's for sale around you. Where do you want to be?
Would it be presumptuous, I guess that's the word, like, if we're going to the appointment, because I like when it's clean and not handwritten in, would it be presumptuous to like fill?
I actually, when I had my own folder in Dropbox for this, I actually had my own listing agreement pre-filled except for the address and the things that would change every time. Like it already had my name in there. It already even had my, like Riley had it saved back when it was Riley, that this page already even had my signature plugged in on it.
Yeah, that's what I try to do. Like,
Yeah.
my buyer brokerages.
Yeah.
That's how I have them.
I don't have a problem with that at all. And if you're going to take them out of these and say Claire's already prepped them, make her a stack of, you know, of the listing agreements that you didn't take and just say, hey, here's some extras. I had one where I already signed it. And so, you know, don't trash these, but use them on the next binders.
Okay.
So we're not wasting paper, but
Yeah.
otherwise.
Well, and
That's
you
good.
may like just have one and grab it and do it later. Okay.
I was just assuming you're gonna get the listings. I have as much.
Always.
I do that with my
Assume.
buyers. Like, I just go in like, yeah, I'm getting this buyer broker.
There was a time where I was so presumptuous that we were like making URLs for people's houses for their website. And I would be like, I've already made a URL for your website. It's going to be 1234 Main Street.info. And that's going to be your address you can share everywhere. I mean, like I was going in with like full throttle. I am not leaving without this listing.
I would like that.
That build out,
As a seller.
which it's all commercial, but that build out program KW Commercial does, you can make a website pretty quick for a commercial property. And I've done that at an appointment because I'd already put it in and you just push one button and it previews the website. I'm like, hey, this is what your website's gonna look
We
like.
can add that in the other as an option.
It
if it's
goes
already there.
goes a long way.
And we still do that, by the way, the 1234 Main Street and all that jazz. You guys see those.
What's the brevity?
Yeah. So this packet being, if it's going to be emailed beforehand and then you're bringing a hard copy, you just need the digital version of this. It is such a large file that it's easiest to leave it in Drive, but share access to it from Drive, like send them a link to it and say, and tell them what you're doing. If they are your typical 65-year-old client, just tell them you're bringing a copy or drop it off beforehand. Okay, like
I seem to attract those.
I don't know. You don't want to overwhelm them. You want to show up professional, but if you get somebody like me who goes, well, what do you do for marketing? And you say, hey, I've got a packet that I can actually email it to you now. What's the best email for you? Are you familiar with Google Drive? Cool. I'm just going to share it from there because it's such a large file and you can take all the time you want and pick that apart if you'd like to. That would be for that technology savvy. I text, I Facebook message you, I did the home value on the internet, blah, 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 blah. That client. But if they go, I got your name from insert other 65-year-old old man, then maybe say, I'm going to drop this off beforehand or I'm going to bring a packet of information. I would really like it to be there before, but I understand that there's times where that's not going to happen. But tell them you have a packet of information for them and make sure they see this because there are not a lot of realtors who come in with something that's nice. You are setting yourself apart every single moment. Every single moment.
Most of them just have a PowerPoint on there.
So,
If that.
yes.
Some of them don't even have that.
So, doing that infographic the other day also made me realize that the next round of edits that we do make on this, we will need to add here's some changes that we've made to support the modern day technologies. We've actually made a lot of changes in the past year, and they didn't make it to this round of edits. I just wasn't thinking about them.
My virtual tour.
Virtual tours are drone photography, like drone videography, virtual appointments. Like they could do this entire thing virtually. You guys can even show them houses on FaceTime, you know, like there are so many options that we have right now that we were not doing before. And I mean, we've been doing them now for a year, so now they kind of sort of feel normal to us, or sometimes necessary, sometimes not. But there are still people that are asking those questions, especially if they're moving in from a town that still is shut down, and then they come to Georgia and they're like, does COVID not exist here? Like, that's what I keep hearing. I think we just get tired of wearing masks. I don't know what to tell you.
What do you think about sending comps with a pre-listing packet? No?
Because then they'll go for Charlotte. Or,
I don't send them. I want to review them in person. This is the people side of me, is that I want to analyze their reaction. I want to see it. I want to give that presentation in person. Even back when I used to come for price reductions, I used to do price reductions in person too. Hey, I know I've followed up with you every week, and I know we've been talking about what's going on. I've pulled some more comps and what's going on in the market. I'd like to go over it with you this week. Are you available Wednesday afternoon? I'd like to stop by. It won't take us a long time. I just wanted to show you what I've seen. You're a lot more likely to get a price reduction if you go meet them. Because you can see the reaction. You can see them squirm in their seat. You can see them hesitate. You can see all of it and be there with them. And your job is to kind of hold them up and handle the objections and be like, I totally get it. And the market's telling us this price isn't working. So we've got to decide, do we want to keep going forward and giving this a shot like this? And if we do, how long? Because I feel like I'm doing you a disservice, man. You're my friend. Last thing I want to do is fail you at selling this place. But if you want to take it off the market, I mean, I can do that. I just hate failing you. Those are some scripts right there. Make sure that you're asking, right? So we will go over this in an entire presentation, but I want to go over some of the pieces now. Please be flipping early. Be in the driveway 10 minutes beforehand. Don't go up though until less than 10 minutes. People are usually last minute straightening up when you get there. You still want to be a little early. I do also recommend setting a time. Something else that I've seen you do, and this is just your personality, is how about I just give you a call Monday and see when you're available? Like, just set a time. There's a definite time. There's a definite, like, I'm not going to give you a call on Monday and see when you're available. How about Monday at 2? Would that work for you? Because one of your first scripts when they open the door is like, hey man, we had our appointment at 2 and it is 1:55. How you doing today? You know, whatever you want to say, but you're going to bring the attention to the fact that you're early. That's a piece of the puzzle that you're just stacking. And 90% of realtors don't know how to be on time. So
one of the only things I got from Bowles when I took it and whenever it was the fact that you don't give them the option of picking the time. You say these 2 times I have available, which one works for you?
yes, and I do that so naturally now, but because of Bowles.
Yeah.
Now for every choice I ever make somebody make in a conversation with me, I make them pick from 2 options. Yeah. Because I know if I don't give you 2 options, you're going to pick a 3rd option that was not on my list. Like, that was not available. I did not want to meet you at 8 p.m. That is not going to work for me, right? So I've got, and one of the other things that I do is I weed it down. 2 options, 2 options, 2 options. So do weekdays or weekends work better for you, Nolan? Actually, I'm usually off on Thursdays. Okay, awesome. Morning or afternoon? And weed it down and weed it down and weed it down. Then you go, okay, great. So 10 o'clock Thursday morning work for you? Great. So, but it's the weeding down process that gets you somewhere faster in the conversation rather than, so what do you think your availability is going to look like next week? I don't know. Okay, weekdays or weekends work better for me. And like, just chunk it down until we get there. Dress code. I don't expect you to overdress or outdress your clients. When I worked at a jewelry store, they expected us to outdress everyone. You were expected to wear a pantsuit, period. Or pantsuit or a dress if you're a girl, whatever, but it needed to be like a professional suit. I think that's overkill for today. People are meeting you and they're like in their yoga pants and crap like that. So what I would expect is like slacks. Jeans without holes in them might be okay depending on your client. If you don't know them, don't assume jeans are okay. If you're gonna, actually men and women, darker jeans actually look more professional than lighter jeans when you're going out on an appointment. So if you are gonna wear jeans, tend towards your darker colors, slacks, khakis, not cargo. I don't know if anybody wears cargo anymore, but not those.
Shorts.
Um,
Jinkos.
They make, for women, they make like all kind of black leggings, but not like tan leggings where they're wondering if you're wearing pants. Like, you know, like this is the shit I have to deal with. I mean, I had to tell somebody not to wear pajamas once.
What?
Come on, guys. I mean, like,
Yeah.
clearly these people don't last very long, but I still
It
had
was
to have.
funny, the girl that we interviewed on, she's like, so what's your dress code? And we're like, leggings, sweatshirt, AJ button down, Claire shorts. I'm like, I mean,
It's flexible.
it's flexible. I said, I wouldn't go in pajamas.
But I would recommend, like, if you know you're going to see clients that way, if you're a girl, wear blouse. If you're a guy, I like button-ups. I like polos. And the vest thing is kind of cool and in now, so whatever. I mean, just don't look like a train wreck and look like you're actually showing up and you actually make six figures. But six figures does not have to mean like diamonds and Rolexes and things like that. It just means put together is what I'm looking for. I mean, I've seen people show up if they live in beach areas and they wear flip-flops and shorts. If you know your market, you know your market. If you're going out, on a land listing and y'all are gonna walk the land, I would expect you to show up in outdoor clothes. Like, just know who your client is and what they're doing and be smart. And if they're your friends, I actually would caution you not to be too relaxed. I would actually step it up for your friends. And tell them, you know, even if you have to like turn off the friend vibe and put on the realtor vibe, tell them that's what you're doing. Listen, I want to make sure you guys know that we're not just friends here, that I want to earn your business and I want to take care of you. So I'm going to take off my friend hat here for a minute. I'm going to talk to you like a realtor, and then we'll go back to being friends and talk about whatever. Fishing.
Yeah, I think sometimes we've heard of friends that are like, well, I didn't want to inconvenience you. So I think there is a lot of times people think like, for some reason that you
that their deal isn't important.
Right. So they do need that.
I don't care if
extra,
it's a $20,000 lot. I mean, I will do it for free. I want your business. I want to take care of you. I've made the phone call to a friend of saying, no. What do I have to do to get your business? I found out you were interviewing other people, and I'm not going to have you work for somebody else. So what does the deal have to look like in order for me to get it? I mean, like if I've tried sweet and honey and all these things, and I still haven't gotten it, like the high D, the hammer's coming down. I'm like, no, you are important to me. What's it gonna take? What do I have to prove to you? What do I have to show you? What do I have to charge you? Whatever.
Like with Karen and them, that was a situation where they were already moving on to somebody else.
They were.
We didn't reach out. We found that out.
Push for it. Mindset. I would encourage you, if you use Spotify or Pandora, to have a playlist that's your like pump yourself up. What I want you walking in with is that you're energized, that you're excited, and that you're confident. Just like I would probably listen to my horse show stuff, my horse show playlist is like, y'all heard that song Champion by Carrie Underwood? Man, it's my freaking jam. I mean, felt that. And so those would be on my list, or like Luda or something that kind of gets my energy up and gets the blood pumping and gets me confident, like I'm a badass, and then I'm gonna walk in and simmer it down for just a minute. It's like bubbling up inside of you. That's what you want. Or the other option is listen to scripts on the way. It's one or the other. Make sure that you're being very purposeful with your time that you're heading to the appointment. I've given you a script that I want you to review. We've also got some videos that we can review for listing appointments, but I'm going to teach you my structure in a separate session. We'll schedule it for next week, and I'll walk you through my entire listing presentation. I chunk it down. I make it really simple. AJ and I were talking about it, like giving you a brief overview. It's build rapport, give the presentation, pricing and agreement. And that's it. And then you might build a little rapport on the way out to the car. And
I was going to ask you one thing about that video that I was watching. He said that they get after he gets the listing agreement, he goes ahead and touches on the price reduction thing. Like make sure you get the agreement first, and he's going ahead and prep.
Yeah, I think that would be really good for us to talk about in that session, because we can go really, really deep into. Okay, here's another tip, guys. Don't give feedback on the repairs that they need to do, or talk about price reductions until you have the listing agreement signed. Get it signed, then go, okay, let's talk about what happens next. Here's a list of a few things that I would really like to see you guys accomplish. The other thing that's missing in this binder is 47 ways to help your home sell faster. I need to write that down.
what if they're asking while you're walking through, like, hey, does that look like something we should fix? You know, you think that would get us some more money, would that get value, like as you're walking through the house?
Let me just take notes while we're going through, and if you would list all those things off that both you think I should be able to see and that I probably can't see, and we'll discuss it all and come up with our plan. You got to get really good at deferring to the moment where you want to handle it, the objection or the concern. Diana always used to say, she said, all these people used to say, you're so good at scripts, you're so good at scripts, you're so good at scripts. She said, no, I'm good at handling the objections I want to handle. Forget all this other crap you just talked to me about. What really matters is you want to net the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time, and I'm the girl that's going to get you there. So those repairs, the market price, the this, that, and the other, that's going to be the same every other agent. What you have to decide is, do you want to hire me? Right? It's like, let's focus on what really matters. Hire me. The rest of it's going to be the same no matter what. All right, so the letter, in listing package, and 47 ways. We didn't add that to this, did we?
I think I have it in my Dropbox. Allison had sent me a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it's missing from the packet. Okay. So if you're not sure what to tell somebody, and you're like, the house is like in pretty good repair and stuff like that, what you'll do is you'll say, hey, in this packet, and you'll pull out, here's a 2-page list of 47 things you can do to make your house sell faster. Just go through this checklist. It's like things like repainting the baseboards and cleaning up, landscaping, get the bushes trimmed, laying fresh mulch, blah, 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 blah. It's like the basic stuff that you don't have to worry about reciting it all. It's on a checklist that they can follow. What was the other thing that you were just asking about?
I said something about walking through the house and them asking you questions on that. That's what
Yeah, getting really good at deferring it to the moment that you're ready to actually cover that content.
Right.
And just tell me, we'll talk about that in just a few minutes, but just tell me all those things and I'll write them all down. There's, you know, and just reassure them, I'm going to go over it, I promise. Let's get through. And some scripts have you, we will go over this. Some scripts have you like just tour the house by yourself. I don't like to do that. I'm different on that one piece. That's where Diana and I differed. Diana wanted them to go ahead and sit at the table and review the stuff that she had brought so that she could take a very quick tour and control her time. Sometimes I have yet to figure out who the people are behavioral wise. Like maybe I only talk to Nolan, but I haven't talked to his wife. And so this is a really good chance for me to get a tour and listen for that. Is she a high S? Is she a high C? How can I win with her as well? I'm listening so much, not just the house, but I'm listening to who they are in that tour. So it just buys me a little extra time to like get a feel for the environment that I walked into. So I like them showing me around. That's where I differ. And it's your choice. There's a script for both methods. So it's just whatever makes you happy. I do want to talk about price because that's come up lately, and I want to talk about objections. So what do you think the biggest objections are right now?
Commissions.
Okay, what else?
Price.
Appraisals.
What do you mean appraisals? Like
Well,
in a
like-
listing appointment?
Well, I mean, like if they've already got an appraisal done, they're, you know, but it was done 6 months ago, then you have that objection of, well, it didn't change, especially if the market like goes down.
Okay, what else?
What will we do when we sell? Might be someone's objection if they don't already have a plan. I'm guessing if you're there, they probably got some sort of plan, but
We want to do repairs first.
do we need to do repairs? Is it worth putting, the money into? They're probably looking for extra guidance because of how crazy the market is. They're wondering if, what can we get away with? We've heard sellers have tons of leverage now. What's the best way to use that?
You got an objection that you're not listing here.
Length of listing agreement? Which one? Because I got like
47. Okay, so I'll just plug that one in. You had another one though.
Off-market thing, like wanting to get off-market deals or
Why did he want
no
to?
showings. Because they have, compromised health.
COVID objections. What else?
Maybe the not really objection. They won't have the cash offer people come maybe, but I don't know if that's really an objection.
Get down to what they're really trying to say.
Can we sell without doing it, or can we just sell it as is and, get out quickly?
Least amount of competition.
Right, yeah.
That's what I was telling you in that message last night, to make sure you're actually uncovering the actual objection, right? Because he wants you to like tell friends about it and sell it off market, because it's not because he actually wants to sell it off market. It's because he's terrified for his wife's health. That's where it's coming from. So you have to stop and go, okay, hang on, slow down with me. What's making you ask for that? What brought that up?
And he thinks if we sell it to one of our clients that we're gonna reduce our commission. Or he's hoping that would somehow happen.
Do you not understand there's two different?
But I went on to explain that the way our team works is we have buyer's agents that represent buyers. And so me having a client is going to be very unlikely because our team does a lot of buyers. And so I'm not going to make them take a reduced commission. I kind of worded it nicely, but I think he thought I might have clients that I was going to do the double side the deal, and also went on to tell him we don't want double side stuff because that's doing him a disservice. So.
If that happens though, the buyer would just become the customer.
Yeah.
And I'm told,
That script is coming from the person who's double-sided the most things in the past 2 years.
I'm pretty sure Allison did that last year on that Athens house. Like that's
AJ has double-sided more deals than anybody on the team has ever double-sided. Because like chicken farms, they just like pick up the phone and call a cell phone number, and they're like, well, I want it.
I make them do that customer agreement first, though, just because I'm worried of always getting in trouble. I explain to them, hey, I'm just going to fill this out for you. Like I was hired by the listing agent, but you tell me what you want, we'll put it in,
It's that good old boy tonality that people are like, I just trust him. I just trust him. It's how he won me over. All right. So, commission, by the way, that's why you're not going to handle that over the phone. The number one thing that you can do is provide value. Your job is to go in there and wow them with your presentation, with your questions, with your strategy, with our marketing plan, everything that we're going to be doing. And there are some scripts for commission in case you get to the end and they go, well, I really did have a friend who said that they would do this for 5%. Is there any way that you would consider doing it for 5%? I would say, what do you do for a living, Nolan? Pick something else. Play baseball.
They're ranching that.
I can still use it. I'm just double checking.
Teacher.
You're a teacher. Can I ask you, are all teachers created equal?
No.
And do you have people maybe even at your school that like operate under the same umbrella that maybe don't put in the same passion and work ethic that you do? Okay. But they still get paid the same, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
In real estate, it's a little bit different. And then sometimes it's the same. Sometimes people don't even get close to offering everything that we offer and netting people the same amounts that we net because of what we do and our negotiation skills, and they still get paid the same. The others that don't want to build something like we've built, their only strategy is to reduce their commission. However, when they reduce their commission, it feels like you're making a deal, but because of their lack of marketing and their lack of negotiation skills, they're probably shorting you on the net as well. What I can guarantee you is there's nobody that's going to work harder and net you more money than I'm going to. So I'm going to say no. No is the answer, right? Do you think they would offer you all this? Or do you think there's a chance that maybe they're cutting the commission because that's the only way they can get the deal?
Wasn't commission 7% common at one time, or is it always?
You can't say common.
I'm just between me and you.
I mean, 6, 7.
Okay.
The other thing I might say is if I didn't go in that detail, I might even say, Nolan, I'm always curious about agents like that. If they're willing to negotiate their own income, and it may only sound like 1%, but it's actually, what is 1 divided by 6? What percentage is that?
18 or 17 or
But it's really 18% of their potential income. And actually, if it's on their side of it, it's 32%. Okay, so it may only sound like 1% to you, but they're actually cutting their income by 32% on their side. If they're willing to cut their own livelihood and income by 32% before even interviewing for the job, what do you think they're going to do when it comes time to negotiate your money?
I like that better. I mean, I like the first one, but that one.
It depends on what fits you. I've got a script for everything, right? And there's a script for everything that's out there. You play around with what works for you the best.
I
And
feel like if
sits
somebody
with you.
told me that, I'd be like, hell no, I'm going with you because they negotiate my money away. I didn't even have a chance. You know, like, I like that one.
Yeah. It puts it in perspective.
Now what if they, this objection, what if they're like, well, we know how the market is, hell, houses are just flying off the market, it don't really matter who lists it.
You're right in a certain degree, Mr. Purcell.
Thank you.
And houses are flying off the market. But what gets missed is you see the Facebook post and you think that it went under contract and it stayed under contract for the price that it was asked for. What happens behind the scenes is there's 3 key negotiation points. When you first go under contract, when the inspections come in, and when the appraisal comes in. My job is to protect your money each and every step of the way. And I'm just not confident there's a lot of people out there that are as strong a negotiator as I am. If you think they are, maybe they wouldn't have cut their commission so quickly. I don't care. I don't care if they're a hard ass. I'm going to bring it right back to them, and I'm going to give them back the same degree that they gave me, maybe just a teeny bit softer. Teeny bit.
This is completely outside of the appointment, but what are your thoughts now on like pricing for multiple offers versus pricing? Like what are we taking into account there when we're looking at comps? Are we actually wanting to price at comps or wanting to price a little below?
I think that depends on your client. That really depends on your client. That's why we're going to talk about the 333 and the 555. That's just 2 different people's method of pricing where you give either 3 or 5 active under contracts and solds, and you're going to let them pick the price. And they've got a choice. Do you want to sit on the market longer and see if they'll bite at that price? Or do you want to get this ball rolling, generate multiple offers, drive up the price from wherever you listed it? It may still end up at that higher price that you wanted, but it's entirely up to them. You give them a choice. You don't want to be the one that picked the listing price.
Bringing her up, but I did go to a consult with her. Not a consult, but, and every time I heard her say, and even clients that were like my buyers and like, yeah, we priced it under market value, except for the Chambers Road, they're just dumb. But
Who
it's
are you
like
talking about, you and who?
Allison. Like it's like she steered them to the lower price. I mean, but you're saying just kind of let
Do
them.
they believe they priced it under market value because it got multiple offers? That would be I wouldn't want to jump to conclusions that she necessarily did one thing or the other, because like if you ask Mike or my dad or anybody in that age group, if you got multiple offers and it flew off the market, in their head, because of all their lifetime of programming, you underpriced it. What they don't realize is that is the world we're living in right now. It's not underpriced, it's just supply and demand.
And see,
I was just wondering, I mean, just listen, like her script, it was kind of like, this is how we're going to do it. I like to do it under market value because this isn't this.
Yeah.
So I didn't know, I mean.
And you can do that. I mean, again, I'm going to give you the tenets of what I think should be included and what's going to set you apart. And then you get to kind of create your own path with these people. And you also have to listen to what they're telling you too. Because if you jump in, if AJ jumped in there, we tried to get him to price under market, we're about to lose a listing.
Yeah.
So you've got to listen as carefully as you can, not just talk over them and guide them, but also sit back and ask questions. And what do you think about that? What do you think of the strategy? Would you like to have multiple offers and drive the price up? Or would you rather sit on the market and have showing after showing after showing?
And
That's
multiple,
kind of what we did on Royston. We did it, what it appraised for when she purchased it last year, it was less than 6 months. And I said, now, just my opinion, you're probably gonna go over that, but let's price it, cause she wanted it, I said, we're gonna start there, and that way you're not, losing everything.
and it's not just driving the price up, multiple offers do either. Because if you've got, let's say the price is 200, and you could either list at 205 where you think it'll sell, or list at 190. Well, you might get one offer at 205 that has, the price you want, but contingency after contingency. But these two others, once there's 4 or 5 offers, they start getting rid of the trade.
That's what I was thinking last night. Is there even a way to underprice this property right now?
No, you can underprice it, but all it's gonna do is drive the price. The price is gonna land where the market demands it to be.
If you have 50 people going at it, it's not going to land lower than somebody's willing
Correct.
to pay. So it
If
seems like
I
it's-
owned Mike's place, I would list it at 365
yeah, I think so.
because I think it would actually sell where he wants it to
And that's
sell.
what we told him, but he just,
He doesn't trust it because he's in his 60s or 70s,
And also, I
and
think-
he just can't imagine pricing it that low and somebody biting on it. Honey, like 25 people are gonna bite on it. Like, that's my point, is it's not gonna be one person.
And we also didn't have comps when we talked to him too. And after we had that conversation, he come out right and told us, he said, I haven't looked at these other houses you're talking about. And so I think, like that buyer yesterday, she actually got to 360, but she wants something at 180. So I just pulled up Georgia MLS and I was like, let's pull up Hall County up to 185.
Did him a little house hunters moment.
Yeah, so let's pull up 185 and let's look at what sold this year. There's one house on there that she would have even considered. So I just said, and then we look at the solds. They were all 10,000 over asking. There was still some seller contribution on there, which is good to know. It seemed like almost everyone sellers are still contributing to closing
If you
costs.
get your price high enough,
Right.
and if they
So-
don't have any cash
Don't do
offers.
commissions on, their concession.
Right. But that, by showing her that, she was like, oh, okay. It's like, Jenna told me she can go up to 360, but she wants to stay at 180 so she can, keep her money for savings. And she still was like, well, I'll look at it for a week or two. And I said, well, you just look at it for a week or two. If something comes up, I'll move fast on it. We'll try to find it. But I said, we'll revisit it down the road. And, I think showing somebody those, that's what I'm planning on doing Keene tonight, is like, let's see what,
It's different if we had known what we were walking into. What I would have done with him is I would have said, okay, we have to look at this as a competition. The first thing I'm going to show you is what's under contract currently. I'm going to lay them out. I'm going to go, okay, let's look over these. This is the slow down part. I'm not moving fast. We're going to look through the details. All right. Have you been in this house before? Have you been in this house before? Have you been in this house before? Okay, cool. Let's look over the features. Lucky for you, I've already highlighted all the things that are similar and different. Like, okay, this one. All right, so do you see the prices on all of these that are under contract? That was the price that caused them to get an offer.
and days on market too, probably.
Yeah, it's right
Something like
next to
that.
it. As you see, these are all under like 45 days. My guess would be this one that was closer to 30 days. It probably went under contract somewhere near its price. These others that were like on the market for 5 days or 4 days, they probably went over asking with multiple offers. Do we see those? Okay, which one is your house most comparable to? Okay, cool. All right, let me sit this one over here. As you're processing, I'm like, he's processing at this point and he's going, oh crap, that's what it's worth. Either really excited, oh crap, or oh crap, I was really hoping it was more than that, right?
Yeah.
And you're reading every bit of it. Okay, now we look at this as a competition. We're entering into a competition. I'm just holding up pretend comps for my video. I am still videoing. All right, these are your actives. So this is what I would say is our competition. There's prospective buyers that are out on the market and they're shopping. This is what they're looking at. You've been in this house?
No,
Have you been in this
No.
one? You've been in this one?
yes.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, let's look through the features. All right. And I got all that, blah, blah, blah. We've discussed it. They might spend 10 minutes on this. I don't care how long it takes because there's a reason we're going to get to this at the end. Okay, which one of these is most comparable to your house?
No one.
Cool. All right, so these are the two that are most middle. And so as you notice, the one that's under contract is a little bit less priced than the one that is active right now, because that's the way our market's going, is it's actually going up. So based on what you just saw with those actives and this under contract, where do you think your house should be priced to be able to compete against these homes for the next buyer.
I don't know, 100,000.
100,000. These comps came in at $5. That's a really important script.
Yes.
And if they say, well, I was really hoping you would tell me. Come on, man. You know I already know where it needs to be listed. I'm asking if you know.
That guy,
Like, I don't play with you. I don't play games. You don't need to do all that.
I know there's multiple offer stuff now, but that one of that guy's scripts or another script I saw was kind of like, it doesn't matter what we think it's worth. It also matters what an appraiser think it's worth. And they're looking at this too. Now I know there's cash
and
offers
quite
and stuff
frankly,
that go.
Anywhere in that range is an acceptable place to go. The question is, how quickly do you want to move it? And do you want your terms to be great?
World.
So squirrel named Hannah. I haven't heard the squirrels in a while. Hope they're dead. So
Good, Hannah.
price, appraisal, I think that's where a lot of that's going to come in. I do think if you've spent the time building value on what we do for what we charge, our net average list price to sales price, our preferred terms, the way we do our open houses, like you have literally, hopefully at the point that you get to the 333 or the 555, and we will go through a full listing presentation. I'm just giving you an overview now. By the time you've gotten here, you have like their eyes are glossed over because you won't shut up about all the things you do to sell their house. You kind of want that. And then we do this, and then we have aerial photography with a drone, and we can do drone videography, and then we can do this, and we can do that, and hopefully they're going, yeah, I don't want to have to do that by myself. I don't have any of that crap, right? And then they're going, that's why my friend offered to do it for 4% or 5%. I don't think they have a drone. I don't think they do professional photography. I think I heard them say that they hate open houses. I think, right? But you have just been layering and layering and layering and layering. And then all of a sudden you go, okay, here's the cool part. We're at the easy part of the listing presentation. Comps should be the same with me as they are with anybody else. The market price is going to be the market price. Granted, you can price within a range. Your house will only sell for what a buyer will pay for it. Fair enough? Okay, great. So let's go over comps. But I go ahead and reassure them this should not look different than with any other realtor. And if they do have different comps, either we need to know where they got them from or they better be writing you an offer that day. So you're going to pull a number out of their butt, then they better be willing to write an offer for your house, because otherwise they're just buying the listing. And what that means is they're going to price it above, get your hopes up, and they're going to beat you up week after week after week over the price. Okay? So comps are the easy part. I always start that script with this is the easy part because comps will be the same no matter who you go.
So if they start getting into details about finishes and stuff, that's when you kind of pivot to you're like, well, which one of these is closest to you? Not let's go over every single detail, but kind of.
Yeah, which one is
has
closest to you? Do you want to look at the pictures? Because we can pull it up on my laptop or your computer or whatever. I'm happy to see you. I am happy to do whatever it takes for us to finally get to the end where you sign the agreement. Whatever their concerns are, I will do it. It's fine. Let's do the details. I don't like them. I wish you would just do this already, but if you want to go through the details, we will. And then when you're wrapping up, this is a really great script. Is there anything that I have forgotten to cover with you that somebody else may have covered with you that I just maybe forgot to tell you about? Why do I say that I forgot to tell you about instead of, is there anything anyone else offered to do that I haven't discussed?
Because that's just you covering your butt.
I must have just forgotten about it. It's not that I don't offer it. It's that I forgot to say it because I was talking about some stuff. Can't tell you how many times people say, oh, they put this blue box that all the realtors can access, and it's like it adds security. Oh, super box. Yes, we use those. I'm so sorry. I forgot to talk about that.
Allison asked that to Jerry Loftus and them, and they said, what's the thing where agents tour around houses together?
Broker tours.
Yeah,
caravans.
Yeah, caravans. She brought up that, and so that was a good opportunity for us to
Tell them they don't work.
I don't remember what she
So
said.
those are just for agents that don't actually get anything done. To get cookies and.
I would say, fascinating. Did they tell you what their luck was at selling the house at the agent caravans was? I just asked because I used to do them years ago, and all I ever had to do was feed an alcohol up a few realtors, and I never got any offers. All I really ever got was feedback telling you to reduce your price.
Yeah.
So I stopped holding them. I was just curious if you
That's
thought
what that one team I was telling you about, they do every Monday.
Oh, yeah.
They
how cute.
go sell some houses. And then they post
Sold
on there that
squad.
their
Sold
brokerage
squad.
is the #1 in the world. And I'm like,
I'm gonna have to make sure that this is not a
Who is
public
that?
video.
What is that?
I will after.
Here, will you pass these out just for you guys to review later? We're not going to go over it right now. That's a listing presentation. It also has some scripts in the back on how to overcome price and some other objections as well. And then how much time do I have? AJ, I need you plugged up. This is starting to die. I'm going to go over this when he gets back in. Anybody need a potty break really quick?
Sure.
Where do you want it? I'm gonna pause this. What I would like to talk to you guys about is either after you take the listing or after you don't take the listing. So you leave there and you don't have a listing agreement. I would like for you to send a handwritten thank you card. It's not that hard. Thanks for inviting me over. I look forward to the opportunity to serve you from Noble. Whatever. Don't throw a business card in there. They already know you. You already emailed them. You already called them. You already did a listing appointment. You don't have to throw a business card in there. They know who you are. Just thank you for having me over. Your next steps, if you listed the house, is paperwork. So what this looks like is I usually leave the disclosures and I say, Nolan, I've already got the listing agreement. That's everything I need to get started on my end at the beginning. But what we're going to do from here is I'm going to reach out to our marketing manager. We're going to get you a sign out here, a lockbox, and we're going to get professional photos done on your schedule. So when do you think you would be ready to get pictures done? Oh, I need a week or two. Okay, great. So if I do this in 2 weeks, do you think you'll be ready by such and such week? Okay, great. I'll go ahead and get us on the calendar, and me or Layla will reach out to you after we get that scheduled to make sure it's okay with you. Before the photographer comes out, all I need from you is this giant stack of disclosures. If you drink, go ahead and have a glass of wine while you're doing this. It'll take you a while. Sit and watch your favorite show, watch American Idol or something while you're doing it. It'll take you some time.
But now you having them fill that out before, like you're taking the pre-listing package, you tell them go ahead and fill it out for when you come.
If they have not filled it out, that's when we're doing this. If they already did, fan-freaking-tastic. Thank you so much for doing this. Our next steps are a signed lockbox and photos.
I know one script that guy used or one guy used was about go ahead and filling that out, because that way as I review it, that can help us price the property better, because it has
Ooh.
ages of systems, so you're just looking at it and that's telling you roofs all day, you know.
Oh, so what now?
Say-
Hey, when I come out on Thursday, I'm going to send you some information and I'm going to drop off a packet for you. If you wouldn't mind, look over those disclosures and go ahead and start filling them out, because having all that information available to us will help me price your house.
Okay.
That is strategic and I like it.
And it also
Right.
takes that time of you don't have to ask them, okay, how old's your roof? Because Layla puts that in her little description. How old's your roof? Well, it's right here. I mean,
Yes, they have to turn in the disclosure regardless. I also recommend that the only thing that you really tell people about the disclosure, you are not going to fill it out for them at all, period. That's too much liability. I do want you to say, by the way, those disclosures are really important to get accurate. That's pretty much your
you're gonna get in big trouble.
that's pretty much your don't get sued documents. So just disclose everything that you know of on there, and if you have any questions, give me a
oh,
call.
I said that right.
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, because there's an issue in the basement. I said, put it on there. Do not hide it.
Mhm.
Put it on the
It's pretty much your do not get sued document. Because if you disclosed it, there's nothing they can say about it, right? That's why my past clients did go to court, is because it said no problems with water, and yet there was evidence of all of this attempted repair for it.
And in my experiences, is if it's on the disclosure, especially if it's been addressed, it's not an issue.
Correct.
Like for the buyers, it's not an
Yeah.
issue. Yeah.
Oh, so you had a roof leak and you put on a new roof 5 years ago. Sweet.
Or you had a, crawl space issue, oh, you fixed that and sealed it, oh, great.
Great. Yeah. When they know you fixed it, it's done.
Yeah, I think me as a buyer looking into it would want to see something there on, 20, 25-year-old house. There's nothing on there. You're kind of like, so this place had no issues.
This
Like,
place has had no issues in 30 years.
right. Yeah.
Okay. I usually say from the time we sign this agreement, if you're gonna do this, the proper way and follow our systems to ramp up as much interest as possible and to do this as well as possible, I need 2 weeks. If you have got to have this up tomorrow with iPhone photos, I will do it for you. But if you wanna do everything that I just talked about in the presentation, I need about 2 weeks. And the reason is because A, you need to get the house as ready as you want it. Then we got to get the photographer out here on her schedule. And then we have to get all that in. And we strategically list all houses on Friday mornings. And there's a reason that we do that, is because we want all that interest to come in Friday and Saturday and come to your open house. And I want to pile everybody in here on one day and generate you as many offers as possible by the following Monday, if I can. So that's why we do it that way. But in order to do things right, it takes a little bit of time. So I can go ahead and get you on the schedule. I just want to make sure that you knew, are you going to be ready for that Friday date? It's not, are you going to be ready for photos that Friday? You got to be ready for photos by Monday if you were going to have it on the market by Friday. And I have had
Can I
people.
explain that again? I missed, what are you saying there?
So you're giving them a week basically to get their house ready for.
Or what, or however much time they need.
Okay.
This is week 1.
Yeah,
We're in it.
yeah.
Say it's Monday.
You got pictures that same week or the next week.
So we list homes on Fridays. Well, if I'm gonna have photos in, I don't even know if I can get you in this week because the photographer has a schedule that she's
Right.
on. Let's assume that I can get her in either Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday of next week. Could you have your house ready for photos Monday so that we can be prepared to list Friday, open house on Sunday?
Okay. I thought you were saying 2 full weeks before the photos. You're saying 2 full
I
weeks.
need
before
2
you
full
list.
weeks for it to get listed. The only time that I ever had a real struggle with that, it was a luxury listing. They were firing another agent that had not sold the house. I went up against 3 other people. I helped them discover why it wasn't being pulled up in the MLS. I helped them discover everything that really needed to change. And I walked them through our marketing plan. And I said, we're going to change everything. You are not just a number in my book. We are going to do this the right way. We get out of it. They still wanted to think on it. They called me back. They said, we really, really want to hire you, but you said it's going to take 2 weeks to get this on the market. Other people are telling me they can get it on the market like tomorrow. I said, do you really want to hire another agent like the one that you just hired? I told you, if you want to do this right, you'll do it the way that I asked, which is with the best photographer in the market, the best marketing plan, and we actually follow a plan. 2 weeks is not going to kill this deal. Plus, you still haven't even done your landscaping. So if you can get the landscape.
Right away.
Huh?
Everyone can get it on right away.
Yeah.
I got you.
And so I just put it back in perspective. Do you really want to go with another agent that's going to shoot from the hip instead of actually work from a plan and do this right?
Listings out there now too, with iPhone photos, with no photos, with just
Upside down photos.
They think they're gonna throw it out there.
And that's not true. You will still get better offers if it's better presented.
I had 10 showings already on Megan and I's building when they hadn't had one in like a month. And, I think it was just a lot to do with the media and the marketing and stuff with it.
Why weren't they showing up in the MLS with the other one?
It was an Oconee house, and they had no school district plugged in the MLS. You're in the best school district in the freaking area, and realtors are setting up searches on the MLS that say, my client only wants North Oconee, and your house isn't even falling in the search.
Okay.
And then it feeds from there to Zillow. So what the hell does it say in Zillow, right? So it's like, it's broken and details matter, and details take time, as I'm sure you're aware. And one of the things is your bushes look like craziness out in your front yard. Please get your bushes trimmed and get your mulch reinstalled and get it nice and cleaned up so that our photos actually make people want to come in the house. Okay, so I might be softer a little bit with them, but I'm a very direct, open person, but I'm going to try to deliver it in a way that it goes back to the what's in it for you. Like, you want to hire me because the strategy that you're longing for, this quick and easy, didn't work last time. Trust me. I promise you my strategy works. Just give me the time to implement it. Sure enough, I sold that house. So don't be afraid to stand up for that. Layla needs all paperwork before it can hit the MLS. If you end up taking a short sale listing, we have not had one of those in eons, but a little heads up, we expect a full short sale package before we will even put that house on the market. What that means is we'd probably be working with an attorney these days, but it's the application from their lender for a short sale. It's all their financials showing like their bank statements and their tax returns and their everything else. It's like a reverse mortgage. The mortgage company is now looking at your qualifications and going, you're right, you can't afford this house. That's what they're looking at. Or back in the day, it wasn't necessarily can't afford this house. It could have been I'm relocating and I can't afford to take the loss on this house. If the market is demanding I take a $60,000 loss, and you can see my bank statements, I don't have 60 grand. So that was what they were looking for in those cases. So it's like a reverse
So you didn't have to
mortgage.
be behind to do a short sale. You could just have a situation.
At
where you knew
first,
to
you
sell.
did not have to be behind, and then it got so bad that they wouldn't help, like unless people were behind. It's a long story, but they didn't necessarily have to be to do the short sale.
Do they have to have all the paperwork if it's an investor that hasn't lived there?
I consider those as is investor owned, and so you would just say like, all we need is all we need. Like, okay,
Then if they put a roof on it or, right?
we will do as is, no disclosures if it's investor owned. However, in my opinion, a lot of the investors know certain things and they're not telling them. I would rather it either be as is, no disclosures, like I haven't lived in this place, I don't flipping know, rather than trying to fill out a disclosure. But if they seem to actually have a pretty good knowledge, like, yeah, we replaced the roof in such and such time, and we did this, like maybe they're an investor and they've been renting it out for 5 or 6 years and they have paid every invoice for every repair, I would go ahead and have them fill it out. But if it's a flip and like I bought it, this building was never lived in by the people that owned it. They bought it so that they could get that duplex. They split off the 2 properties. They started managing that, and they listed this one for rent and for sale with us, continued to reduce the price until I wrote an offer on it. They were never in it. As is, no disclosures. That would be a perfect example of that. So.
Well, part of the reason I asked is because I've got one in Colbert that I'm going to be listing as soon as the septic tank is fixed. But all I know is the septic tank is being fixed.
I would just get like the invoice or certification from the septic people and say, and like just have it on record. Somebody's going to value that information, even if the seller has no other knowledge of anything else, but just say the only thing we do know is the septic did have an issue. We just got it repaired. Here's the invoice and the company.
I do that all the time in commercial because nobody does disclosures in commercial, or
Yeah.
I've had 1 or 2, but typically they'll know a little something about it. So I just tell the agent that I was like, they didn't fill out a disclosure, or they know that HVACs are replaced or this or that,
My throat's getting dry.
I found a really cute house for us, but it's smaller.
You're
square footage.
shopping for houses right now?
No, it came from my email.
All right.
I'm checking the email.
Take your lunch from it. Slam it. The other thing that I would advise you guys in working with Layla, she reminds me a lot of you in certain ways because she does not like to be blindsided. She plans her week very well, very meticulously with her personal responsibilities, her work responsibilities. She goes above and beyond for y'all, and she does it really quietly. Like nobody would ever know what she's doing. She's silent killer, right?
Mhm.
If you go on a listing appointment and you got a handshake and you think it's coming, don't surprise her. Text her and say, I went on a listing appointment for this. When we list it, this one is not going to have an open house and stuff like that. I think I got it. Or we're going to list it, but this one might be a quick list next week. Say it. Just text her. Open communication. She would rather be prepared and you not end up getting the listing than the other way around. And you go, well, I didn't want to tell you until I knew I had it. I'm like, okay, but you told me at like Thursday at 9 p.m. and you needed it listed by Friday. You know, like she had no preparation. And so I would just make sure that you guys are over communicating with things to the best of your ability. Text or Slack is perfect with that. And if you really want somebody who would just go above and beyond for you, it's Layla, as long as you're going above and beyond to make her life easy too. Like, I think that's working with anybody, but that's what you can expect. So, scanning and paperwork, she's also got everything in DocuSign as templates. So if you have somebody that's super tech savvy, you can go in there and pull the templates and they can actually fill out their disclosures online on DocuSign. She's got your listing agreements on there, everything.
And it goes right to her.
Yes, it does. I am super.
Want me to, I don't know how to do
I
that.
don't even know how to do it. She told me that the other
I
day.
know,
Really
I know if you just pull in a listing agreement, it'll come up and say this matches blah, blah, blah template. And you say apply, it'll pull in all the rest of the forms. It's done that with me several
I
times.
I gotta get my DocuSign, this is also template, because I know like it filters from command when DocuSign has to do all of Georgia's stuff. But I
You
think
see,
Layla.
My DocuSign is outside of
Yeah,
Command's
but
DocuSign.
mine, I have two different ones merged, but I gotta see how to get the templates. But I know Layla does the templates in yours. She
Yeah, I
puts
forgot
those together.
I log in under Brittany Purcell Real Estate at gmail.com.
Yeah, they log into mine.
So that's
It's
probably
in
why.
mine. Do you
If
log
you
into
have, like,
mine and
your
use
own-
it?
I don't
remember.
Okay.
I
Either
might
way.
buy the templates on-
Allison didn't even know she had one. Like,
But
yeah.
you have to slow down occasionally and like talk to people. Paperwork, listing agreement, and those disclosures. Land is a little bit different.
What about?
Condos are a little bit different. Commercials.
Protect yourself from selling a home.
That's
our-
actually in this packet stuff
Okay.
And it's
already.
in the listing template.
It's in the listing template. It's also in these. I will make sure that it's a folder that's like super easily printable.
That really only works as pre-listing though, because then they're just reading through that at the appointment. You still give it to them if you got it. Okay.
Because the letter should say, if you're prepared to get this on the market, have 2 sets of keys, any of your closing documents, and go ahead and fill out the disclosures in this booklet. And I mean, then you just go, okay, cool, you got everything. You look over it, make sure it's all signed, and say, oh yeah, I have everything I need. Great.
So there's a different listing agreement for condos. Is that
I
right?
believe so.
Okay.
Of course, everything changed, and it changes all the time.
Actually, I think the only difference now is commercial and that one. I don't think, we're getting on top.
I mean, I just wrote a land lot purchase and sale agreement, so I knew that
The
was.
purchase and sales are still there, split out, like the
A
listing is
agreement.
like.
Okay, cool. Whew, this is a lot in one day. All right, continued communication and price reductions. Continued communication, Layla is not gonna communicate with your clients very much. She's got some welcome emails that go out, and if she needs anything, she might send it out for signature. She's gonna run it by you before she does that. Most of her communication is gonna be with you. She wants, and we want, the relationship to be with you, but she's there to help you with anything. You should have it on your calendar to touch base with all of your A clients, whether they're buyers or sellers, once a week minimum. A buyers might need a touch every day from like text messages and things like that. Did you see that listing? Check that, blah, blah, blah. A sellers, you're probably talking to them twice a week or so, but showing time exists for a reason so that you don't have to call them every time there's a showing request. That's one of the things you end up going over in the marketing thing is we're getting the feedback, and then once a week on whatever day it is that you choose, we'll sit down and go over all that feedback and decide if we need to change directions or not.
So feedback doesn't go to them, it comes to
It
us.
does go to them.
Oh, it does go then.
If you schedule on our list and it clearly says, just so you know, whatever you put in this feedback goes directly to ourselves.
Don't say Brittany is an a-hole.
So should you be stepping in if you see a bad piece of feedback or something, calling them?
Yeah, and you should be copied on all of it because you're on the listing as well.
So we are, it's not under Brittany Purcell like that.
You, I believe, are added on your own. You guys have taken listings, or you get it, you're seeing the
I'm
showing
getting
requests.
everybody's.
Not everybody's, but yours, or you do get
I
everybody's.
get everybody's.
Comes in from the offers email. It must be coming into the offers.
I'm not on
I
that.
mean,
one
if
yet.
somebody requests showing right now
Remind
for
me at
Freedom
some
Street,
point.
it shows up in my email.
Okay. That's probably what it is offers at BrittanySells.com, and then y'all are all on it, because then if you get an offer at 10 o'clock on Saturday night, like, you might actually see it, because, you know, Claire and Layla, and even myself, I might be passed out on the couch. So we wouldn't see it. So communication, I just want to tell you guys, if you have a seller that's sitting on the market for a long time, the number one thing you can do is call them minimum once a week. Say, hey, not a whole lot to report this week, but I just wanted to check in on you. How are you doing? Even if it's that simple. Or maybe, hey, I've called to hear your voice now 3 weeks in a row. I think the market's telling us something else about the market. I'm going to pull some comps. Can you meet with me on Thursday or Friday? And I would. There should not be a whole lot of price reductions right now unless you have a unique property or you're overpriced. Remember, go in person. Set another appointment. It really is going to make a difference to be able to get a price reduction signed, or you can just offer to take it off the market. And I always use the script of, if I don't tell you this, I'm failing you. Did you guys know that it's actually an ethics violation for the Board of Realtors, National Association of Realtors? It is an ethics violation. You can be reported for and actually be fined for and potentially lose your realtor status for, to not tell somebody their house is overpriced if they're your client. Because you're the expert, aren't you?
Mhm.
It is actually an ethics violation.
Oh.
And I know that from one of the very few ethics classes that I have actually taken. So, and I
As long
was,
as you
I was
communicate
shocked.
that, you know.
Yeah, as long as you communicate that. I can't tell you how many expired listing appointments I've gone on or withdrawn. And I said, well, what did the other agents say was the reason it hadn't sold? They didn't really have a reason. Did they ever ask you for a price reduction? No. So like 80% of your marketing is the price, and they didn't even ask you to change it, you know? Huh? What? It's because of lack of confrontation, right? Lack of wanting to confront. If you need a price reduction, same thing. I try to get those done on like Fridays. So if you would talk to them on Thursdays or Wednesdays and say, if nothing changes by Thursday, do you want to go ahead and give it a price reduction? If we don't have like showings lined up or something, and they say yes, and I'll say, well, I'll leave it alone until then. But then you could just text Layla and say, hey, if we don't have an offer by Friday, so-and-so wants to go ahead and reduce, will you help me with that? There's a document for that. She has to go put it in the MLS, and she has to do all that. She has to get their signature on it. We learned a long time ago, don't actually change it in the MLS unless you have their signature on it. Because somebody was like, I didn't ask for that. You did, but now we get their signature on it. Okay? But Layla will help you with that. She'll help you with that piece of it. She'll help schedule your photography. She'll make sure that somebody's holding your open house. She'll make sure that somebody drops off, if you want, a notebook with like the property disclosures, a flyer, all kinds of stuff for other realtors to review at the house. She will, she'll make sure that the agent going to the open house is putting the sign out. But she will help you with all that. But you also need to communicate what you need versus what you've already done. I used to take signs with me. If it's a 2-week lag, it's a little early to put out the sign. We could get another violation for that crap. But if you got really good rapport and like the husband or wife looks really handy, go, do you want me to go ahead and leave the sign here so that when you're ready, do you have like a big hammer? Would you put it in the ground that day? Or do you want me to come back out? I mean, you can do that. Or you can let the agent bring out the open house sign when you come, or the sign when they come to the open house. Everything's open. You're in this, you know, as a relationship, but there's a lot of moving pieces, and we're working all together to make it happen. If I could emphasize anything with you guys working on a team, it would be communication. Communicating with your clients, communicating with your team, communicating with Layla, Claire, whoever needs it. You guys saw that the other day that I put out there. It was just the new offerings that we laid out. That doesn't even touch everything that we offer. Some of the things I tell people about. Trying my best to make it fit over here. I keep grabbing this pen. This one does not have much ink in it. All right, professional photography. We have stagers available if they need it. Our social media presence and online, and I put like hundreds of sites. It's going, I always say it goes wherever buyers are. Let's see, showing time is something I actually go over. And that I sell that as what I would hate is for me to be in a listing appointment just like this one, or a doctor's appointment with one of my kids, or God forbid, just lunch. And I miss a showing request that could bring you a potential buyer. So we've got this really cool tool that it will text, email, and call you, or just one, and it will request that time with you, and you can either approve it, deny it, or reschedule it. You know, so we put the showings in your hands. They're always licensed realtors. They're always verified. However, it cuts the middleman out and it makes sure those showings can get scheduled in a timely fashion. I don't want to risk a buyer for you, right? What else is in here? Some of that stuff like the virtual tours that we offer and things like that, that was really important to make sure you're covering. What else do we offer? Y'all help me out.
The drones.
All right, virtual tours, drone, our database that we send all our listings to, our open houses. I would stop and take a moment and go over that.
The neighborhood, we canvass the neighborhood just for people to pick their own neighbor pretty much. Or do we do that?
Sometimes.
Okay.
We send it to other agents. I sometimes will go into the MLS, like especially if we're talking about Athens, I'll say not only do we market it to the Athens agents and the Athens MLS, but we also market it to the agents in Atlanta as well. And there's a lot of Athens agents who don't do that. They don't want outside agents here, and quite frankly, I don't care if they're an outside agent. If they're bringing you $400,000 for your house, I want to show them. I want to show the house, and they're going to be willing to drive that far. So I'm going to make sure that it's in front of them. I will bring up MLS, even though it seems like a basic thing. I'll position it in front of them because now if they interview anyone else from a small little podunk broker that only uses Navica, they'll go, "Do you use the Atlanta MLSs?" If they go, "No."
The Athens properties show up in FMLS? No.
Sometimes.
It depends on the agent who's listed, if their broker is.
There's a lot of people moving into this area from out of town too.
So
you
our listings going, our Athens
Typically,
listings-
Athens ones we would list in Navica and Georgia MLS. And the reason is to save you the fee that FMLS charges. Georgia MLS is a flat fee every month. FMLS charges you per house. So it adds up a lot faster. What else? What else do you guys think of? I mean, the virtual meetings, virtual showings. We now can offer PPE. Some people want it, some people don't. we can stock up on that stuff. We already have some here. You could take that. You can talk about the home warranty. That's another one that came up. I was surprised that it came up so fast after us having that meeting with Kelly, but this guy's concerns just led me naturally straight to it because his concerns are the age of the systems in his house. And so, well, are they broken? No, they're not broken. Well, let me tell you about a home warranty. Have you ever heard of one? And here's what it actually costs you. And anybody that's ever been a contractor thinks when you say home warranty, they think you're asking them to warranty their house for a year. You are not warranting it. It's a company. It costs $650. That's it. And they handle the warranty. They handle the contractors. They handle out payments. You're done when you close. Period. So I just try to remember, he's a contractor, so I made sure that I broke that down for him.
And it's free for listing coverage as long as you get the.
As long as you're going to pay for it for the buyer, which is essentially, I think it's $630, but I say it's around $650 is what I usually say. So, we talked a little bit about it the other day. My old version of doing like certified pre-owned homes. If you get yourself a really concerned person, now I'm wondering if we should do this with Mike, but I don't want to add like one more wrench in his step. But the people who are really concerned about safety and then like negotiations and how long is this going to last and this, that, and the other, well, it's price and condition and appraisal. So if you can nip some of those in the bud, price it correctly, and then get an inspection done, go ahead and repair anything that came up in the inspection and provide all of that information plus a home warranty, you're only going to negotiate once. The only catch would be if it doesn't appraise, and if they're willing to pay for an appraisal, great. If they're not, you can risk it in this market. I would say if you go on an oddball listing, we did that before. We listed one in Elberton, like 50 acres, gentleman's farm. I mean, it was manicured. It was beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous home, but it only had one bedroom because of the way they built it. Way overdone. They're the owners of a granite company. They had probably $1.6 million in that property, from ponds to the house. The pool was a $200,000 pool. Like, I mean, just way above what anybody else can afford in that market. That's like having a $1.6 million house in Commerce, honestly. And so we ended up pricing it. I told them all the things that we do to sell it, but I said, I don't think you're going to get 1.6. And I didn't want to break the news to them that it was going to be so much lower. So I asked them to get an appraisal. And that was probably the best thing they ever did. And they have the money. When somebody can afford a like $1 million home, $500,000 home, when they find out an appraisal is only $450, they don't balk at it like $180,000 buyer will. They're like, oh, it's only $450 or it's only $600? Yeah, let's do that. That'll help give me a lot of peace of mind. It'll give me a leg to stand on later. They're not going to balk at it.
What did it appraise for?
$780. I think we sold it for $760 because they priced over the appraisal and we kept it listed for 2 years until it finally sold. But it finally sold. And I love them, and they're doing granite in our cabin. I've stayed in touch with them, So
that's like that Delonica house that I sold. I think it sat on the market for a year. And I kept following y'all and like, I joined the 2, I'm selling that damn house. And I did.
There's lots of stuff selling now. I've seen lots of big land lots that have been sitting for years in Banks County now going under contract. Yeah, they just sit there and they finally work to where they make sense, but they just sit and sit and sit. It might be part of their strategy, just throw it out there and wait.
Yeah.
And eventually it'll sell for what we want it,
And in this market, they might have a chance. If it starts to take a turn in another way, then we're going to have to introduce another script because it's not always going to work in every market. Right now, it's okay to use that. But I just really, and don't forget about Homeward. Don't forget about, if y'all haven't gotten certified, go back and check your emails from the Market Center. Get certified with Homeward. It's like a 1-hour course online. It was easy. Homework would be important for the objection of where am I going to go? Or if you get an offer that's contingent upon them selling their house and you want to show the other agent, hey, there's another solution other than your contingency, right? You can go both ways. We've got Keller offers. We've got all the other offers. types of
How do we get
programs.
certified for that? I can't find that.
I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to go back and dig. It's been a really long time since I don't remember anything other than like I got certified.
I'm at Holly from it. I've got certified.
The thing is, 9 times out of 10 with Keller offers, you're using it as a solution to get you in the door. They almost never use that solution. So you're getting certified so that you can tell them it's a bad idea. That's not what Keller offers would like to hear, but that's essentially what is happening. Is we've got a couple
investors that we know of.
and we do. We have investors that, like, between Nolan's group, AJ's group, and a group of our friends, we could probably come up with $500,000.
For anything that makes sense.
Yeah, for anything that made sense. So, ultimately, once you show people that those offers are not quite what they think they are, they usually choose a more traditional route. Because most people don't want to cough up $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 just for convenience. Some people will, but most people don't want to. When they realize that, like, one of their spouse's salary, their spouse's salary a whole year, and they give that up in order to just get that quick offer, they're like, never mind, maybe we could just go a different route. Keller Mortgage, same thing. It's a hook. I've only ever had 2 people close with Keller Mortgage. Everybody else switched to Jenna. Jenna's financing is also something to make sure you're educated on, both to tell the people who are thinking about buying your listing and also to tell your clients about as well. There's bridge loans if they qualify. So, like, an example of what AJ and I did, we only owed like $200,000 on our house. Our house appraised for $389,000. So we cashed out and got that money, like the 80% out, not all of it, but they'll lend up to 80%. And we took that money, we were gonna build a house and use that as part of our down payment. We decided to go a different direction and get a mountain house. We took that equity, but our income qualified for both mortgages. So we took the equity out, we bought the other house. If we were planning on moving to the cabin, we could have, like, bought it, closed, and then sold the other house if we chose to. Some people's income will allow them to do that. It's called a bridge loan or a refi. We did a true refi because we knew we were gonna stay. You know, I wanted a 30-year and I wanted that interest rate in the 2s, so I did a full refi, but you can actually just do HELOC loans where you get that cash out without doing like a 30-year mortgage and stuff. There's lots of options. So make sure when you're going in there, you really diagnose what's going on for them and then ask a lot of questions, because there's ways to work through whatever their biggest challenges are. Okay, guys, I'm tired. That's all I can get out. So next week we'll dive into the actual listing presentation. By that point, I will probably have shared at least one more video with you and expect you to have at least watched one of them. One of the listing presentations, so that you have an idea of what you're going into, and then I'll walk you through what I like to do and what I'm usually telling them in the listing presentation. So
Next Thursday.
I think that'll be great. Let me look at the schedule and I'll confirm with you guys that this day and time works again next week. All
How
right,
much do these cost per book?
$5.